Hello, everybody. Welcome to This Is Reviewable. This week we are reviewing House of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that show was alright. What do you want to talk about? Moving on.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, House of the Dragon. I mean, what is it? What did you think it is?
Are you asking the viewers?
No, I'm asking you. What do you think it is? Because you're probably wrong, but no, I just want to hear what you think. Should that be my new thing?
No.
I just ask someone what something is, and then no matter what they say, even though it could be exactly right. Yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts on it. You're probably wrong about it, but let's just hear what you think.
This is actually Braden's new thing. He'll say one of the meanest, dumbest questions ever. And be like, should that be my new thing? Absolutely not. Unless you want me to chop you in the throat every single time.
It's always something incredibly rude.
Yes.
That I would just do to everybody. So, yeah. I mean, do you want to explain what House of the Dragon is?
So
you.
Shut up.
Probably not right, but...
Oh my gosh. There's the Game of Thrones world, which, if you don't know about that, I would just skip to the next section, because this is talking all about the world of Game of Thrones and how it started, basically. Right?
Not started, per se. It's just, like...
the drama that is still happening in Game of Thrones.
It takes place, like, I think it's like 1,000 years before Game of Thrones is set. It's some great long period of time before Game of Thrones. And it's about the Targaryen dynasty. And those guys are the Dragon Riders. So they were in charge for a very long time because...
they had dragons.
Well, that's what you think. Yeah, that's right. It's because they had dragons, yeah. It's pretty much it's a nuke. They're the only ones with nukes, so they get to be in charge.
Yeah.
Actually...
oh, we're talking about season 2, by the way.
Yeah, this isn't your grandma's season 1.
Yeah, so this will
review.
Contain spoilers because it's season 2.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I definitely was getting, like, Cold War vibes from the whole... we can't use a dragon because then they're going to start using a dragon, then it's mass destruction, and then all the soldiers are like, I've seen things. After the dragon, like, lays waste to everything, and they're like, we just don't even matter. So it's like a very...
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's a very on-the-nose, like, nuke analogy.
Yeah.
The way it's used, at least, in this season. The way it's talked about.
Yeah. So, pretty much, season 1... Rhaenyra is the firstborn of... what's the king's name?
Viserys.
So he's the king. He's married to his first wife, and they have Rhaenyra, and then they have a second child, and his wife dies during childbirth, and the baby dies during childbirth. So Rhaenyra is named the heir. Because
she's the only child.
Only child.
Yeah.
Viserys ends up marrying Rhaenyra's best friend.
Childhood friend.
Alicent.
Mm-hmm.
And has a bunch of, well, like 4 kids, but like 3 boys and a girl.
I just thought of something funny, but you would hate it if I said it.
Okay, it's okay to keep those thoughts to yourself sometimes.
Okay.
And at the end of season 1, Viserys dies, and
like a bitch.
On his deathbed, Alicent thinks that Viserys is naming her firstborn as the heir.
Whose name is...
Aegon.
Aegon, that's right.
Aegon.
So, there's this, like, prophecy that... I don't know how the Targaryens got this, but they have this prophecy, and it's called the Song of Ice and Fire, which is, like, the... you know, that's one of the names of... That's the series name, I believe, of the Game of Thrones series of books, A Song of Ice and Fire. But it's basically a prophecy telling how the White Walkers are eventually going to cross over into Westeros and, you know, tear shit up, basically. Winter is coming and all that. So that's what the Song of Ice and Fire is about. And when Viserys is dying, he's, you know, mumbling incoherently. He has a really high fever. He's not in his right mind. And he's, like, whispering things from the Song of Ice and Fire, and there was another Targaryen way back in the day named Aegon, and that's who he was referring to. But Alicent hears Aegon, and she's like, "Oh, you're delirious and on your deathbed, but you're changing your mind right now."
Even though his whole life, since naming Rhaenyra heir, has been very
consistent.
Yes.
Rhaenyra is my heir.
For years. I mean, let's just say she, like, for over 10 years or something. Let's just say it's that amount of time.
Yeah.
He said, Rhaenyra is my heir, even though I have male sons now, or whatever, sons. Rhaenyra is my heir. And then on his deathbed. So Rhaenyra is gone from the castle when this happens, and Alicent very quickly has her son Aegon crowned king.
Yeah, they basically usurp the throne.
Yeah. So season 2 is kind of the fallout of that.
Yeah.
And Rhaenyra, takes the people that are loyal to her and goes off to a different area, and people that are loyal to, not really Aegon, but loyal to Alicent stay at the castle, and it's the conflict of all of that is season 2.
Right. How'd you feel about it?
The season?
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I thought that, the acting is amazing. The dialogue is so good. What they wear is good. My only issue with it is that they wear the same thing every day, so it's hard to see the passage of time.
Uh-huh.
The cinematography is amazing. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. I think it's missing Viserys.
Yeah, but he was so gross at the end.
I thought Viserys was easily the best.
More than Daemon?
The best performance in season 1. I do love Daemon as a character.
He gets a little weird though.
I do, season. Yeah, so Daemon and Viserys were the two best, but Viserys was missed greatly, I think, in this season, for me at least. But I will say, Rhaenyra does a good job.
I think she does a really good job.
Yeah.
And the scenes where Rhaenyra and Alicent talk to each other, I think that they have really good chemistry.
Yeah. Even though Alicent is always I'm making a very scared, wide-eyed look right now.
Yeah, that is.
For those of you that can't see, which is everybody.
Yeah.
Including Micah. Micah can't see. Micah is now blind. But there was one thing that bothered me. One or two. Did
you say all the things that you liked, though?
Oh, sure. The special effects are really great.
Yeah.
I don't know what the budget was for this show. I probably should have looked that up. But freaking... They make these dragons look so good and so lifelike and so scary. It's better than anything that Marvel has done in freaking
holy shit
years.
20 million per episode.
Really? And it was eight
episodes.
160 million. So yeah, I mean that's not out of the realm of possibility for a budget for a Marvel movie. But these episodes of TV look way better.
Yeah.
The sets, the costumes, and again, the special effects. They bring the dragons to life. Looks really good. There weren't very many battle scenes, were there, in this season? Really at all?
No. I mean, there's really only the one with Aegon, right?
Yeah, which is it's a dogfight. Mostly.
Yeah.
You don't really see. So the battles are cool when they happen. There's not that many of them, so I'm not going to say that that's a huge plus. Daemon is still that actor. I wish he was in more stuff. Matt Smith, I think his name is. Yeah. He's in. For those of you that don't know, he was Doctor Who. For a little bit, but he is also in Last Night in Soho. He's in Morbius, if you ever watched that movie.
It's Morbin time.
It is indeed Morbin time. It just kind of...
Star Wars Rise
He was in The Rise of Skywalker?
I guess.
I don't remember him. He just needs to be in more stuff, because he's really good. He's got this, charisma, don't you think?
Yeah.
Anyway, he walks around with a swagger. Swagger can't be bought. So yeah, the performances are good. The writing is really solid. The sets are really, it just looks really good. And it's interesting and it's cool. And in classic, Game of Thrones style, things are ordered and things go wrong. Things go horribly wrong, and
Yeah.
in some cases, and it just realistic consequences.
Yeah. That one of the. Were you there when I asked Chase and Brooke if they watched this?
Maybe.
And Brooke said that she was watching it with Chase, but after that one scene, she had to stop watching it. She went and took a shower and said she just cried.
Yeah, I know what scene you're talking about.
Which is so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's this world, man.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And I've always liked that about it.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I've always liked that about it. Because, like, the thing about it is, this hasn't happened so much per se in House of the Dragon. I was thinking about this today. By the way, I'm going to make a video soon about why I don't like Yellowstone, everybody. But I was thinking about Yellowstone, and I was thinking about how the show makes you think that the stakes are high because they put the characters.
Yellowstone? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They put the characters in dangerous situations all the time. Like Beth gets caught in an explosion, and John Dutton gets shot by a machine gun like 10 times at the end of one season, and Monica gets into a car crash that looks deadly, but it's always a bait and switch.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, actually, they survived somehow. I don't know how. Cut to 6 months later, John Dutton is getting out of the hospital, and he's the same character now. We don't.
A nuke was dropped on the ranch.
Launch it hits Rip in the forehead, but he's still alive. That's like, and I'm not saying you have to kill off main characters for the show to be good, because I don't think that. There's plenty of shows that don't do that.
Most shows don't kill off their
main characters, right? And they're still great. But Yellowstone wants to feel like no one is safe, but in reality, everyone is safe.
Yeah.
And it's just such a lazy, stupid way to, like, I'm doing air quotes now, raise the stakes, because they're not actually raised. But Game of Thrones, part of what made it so different was the main character in the first season gets his head cut off at the end of the first season.
Wait, in what show?
Game of Thrones. Ned Stark.
Oh, yeah, I was so sad.
And then in season 2, the main character torch passes from Ned to Robb.
Yeah.
And we all know how that ends.
Yeah.
And just they're falling like dominoes.
Yeah.
Nobody is safe. And
did I say
and they stay dead.
Yeah. Well,
except for that. That's where it starts to kind of go off the rails a little bit. But, like,
for the most part, everybody stays dead.
Yeah, but that's not really what happens in House of the Dragon, because there are no main character. I guess this is kind of a spoiler. I don't think any main characters die in this season.
Well, in season 1, Rhaenyra's son dies, but he wasn't a main character.
Viserys dies. He's the main character that dies in season 1.
Oh,
they. You know what? I'm lying. They do kill some important characters in this season.
In this season?
Mm-hmm. And last season, yeah, Lucerys.
Rhaenys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really sad when she died.
Yeah. And they're not afraid also, what Micah was referencing when we were talking to our brother and sister-in-law. My brother and sister-in-law, her brother and sister-in-law. They're not afraid to do things that other shows wouldn't do.
Yeah.
So even though, like, our main core characters are still alive at the end of season 2, it still feels like a very, very dangerous world that they inhabit, where anything could happen.
For sure. Yeah. So what don't you like?
I don't like how everyone immediately knows everything that's happening on other parts of the continent.
I have a feeling that they're just not showing the passage of time because it's boring. Because I think that this season was supposed to have 10 episodes, but because of their budget, I think they cut it to 8. And so they probably had to cut out some of that mundane stuff.
Yeah, but like something will happen in King's Landing, and the next scene will be in Dragonstone where Rhaenyra is. And I understand that those, like, apparently within the world of Game of Thrones, they're like separated by only a couple of miles of water. But like, I was thinking about this more and more. They're basically in a state of cold war with each other.
Mm-hmm.
How is Rhaenyra finding out?
Spies.
How are these spies transferring the news so fast?
Well, remember when they had that... Who's that woman with the red cloak that goes throughout King's Landing?
Oh, the like whisper lady?
Yeah.
Lady Whispers, let's call her.
Right.
Okay.
So, like, how did she get information? Somebody snuck it in. There's spies.
Yeah, but she lived in King's Landing.
Right, but how did people get the information to her? Spies.
Yes, but okay, again, if you know that your main enemy is a couple of nautical miles away on an island,
How do you know it's nautical?
if you know that she's right over there, why are you allowing people to freely enter and exit the gates of King's Landing and get on boats and
Because
sail
how
towards
else does
Dragonstone?
food? How else does
There's a
food?
blockade. They're not getting food. They're already in a state of warfare basically with each other.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense how information is passing so freely between the two places. Because also another thing, you could say, oh, maybe she was riding her dragon around King's Landing and she somehow was able to see that the people are starving from way up there on her dragon. But that also doesn't make sense because Aemond, one of the other characters, is loyal to Alicent. So he's, living in King's Landing. He has the biggest dragon. So nobody is going to risk flying their dragon over King's Landing because they'll get chomped.
Yeah, that dinosaur. That dragon looks like a dinosaur and it's massive.
Yeah. Yeah, so that kind of bothered me a little bit. I wasn't...
Also, Aemond looks so scary in this show.
Yeah.
How thin he is.
Yeah.
And, like, he already has a very angular face. But, like, with how skinny he is, it's kind of freaky.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, that was my main criticism. I have one other criticism. Do you have something you didn't like about it?
I know you're going to bring this up later, but I'm just going to say it. So there's this woman. I still don't know how she's relevant.
Lady Whispers?
No, the lady with the throat. And the accent.
You're talking about the spy lady that, like, gathered all of the intel when she was part of King's Landing.
The one that almost sleeps with Rhaenyra?
Yeah.
Oh.
She was Lady Whispers.
She wasn't the one with the red cloak?
She was the one in charge of all those people.
Oh.
Before.
Oh, okay. She's like a traitor. Rhaenyra's people, like guards or something, are searching some ship, and she's on it, and so they bring her to Rhaenyra. Long story short...
She's the freaking fantasy equivalent of TMZ. That's who she is.
E-News.
Yeah, she gets all the freaking goss. And she starts rumors and spreads lies. And...
Well, I don't even remember her from season 1.
I vaguely do. That's the other problem, actually, is these seasons are releasing way too far apart from each other.
I don't think it's that. I think it's that there's no recap at the beginning of the season. Or something like that. Because, like, we had to watch a video to recap what was going on. Because I didn't remember.
Right.
Anyways, this lady, is a traitor to everybody. Gets captured. And then is like, oh, Rhaenyra, I'll just work for you. And Rhaenyra's like, say less.
Yeah.
You're my number one advisor. Or whatever. And then, like, trusts her with everything.
Yeah. I wasn't buying that at all.
Yeah.
I wasn't buying how many people that's her business. She's TMZ.
Yeah.
She's Dragon Ball TMZ. So why would Daemon trust her? Why would Daemon let her go? That's the first thing that happens in this season.
Oh, yeah. Because she's put into the dungeon and then Daemon talks to her first and then lets her go or whatever, right?
Yeah. And then she openly admits, I can't remember if it's in front of Daemon or...
In front of somebody
or Rhaenyra. She's like, yeah, I sold you out when it served me, but it doesn't serve me to sell you out now. So you should trust me. Why should I trust you? What if it does serve you in like 2 minutes to sell me out? You're going to just sell me out. That's who you are. That's who you've always been. There's no way that Rhaenyra lets her into her inner circle.
If she was smart, yeah. That was kind of.
I really hope that that blows up in her face
Yeah,
because
but I really like Rhaenyra.
no, I know, but like I don't want this dumb like plot contrivance
Yeah.
to exist. I want it to be smart like Game of Thrones was. Like
Yeah.
you should not trust Littlefinger, right? Ever. He's got his own agenda. But this feels like sort of the same thing. Like you should not trust this woman.
Yeah.
She has her own agenda.
It is just so interesting, because this is a prequel to Game of Thrones, but like the same houses own the same like our lords and all of that are important people. And so every time I heard like the name Littlefinger, I just cringed because of how he is in the.
No, he's one of a kind.
There was Littlefinger, I
No.
swear.
That's his nickname.
Oh.
It's not his actual name. His name is Baelish.
Oh, then maybe I was thinking of the people with the hole in the.
Yeah, I don't remember with Aaron maybe.
I can't remember. I swear that they were talking about Littlefingers.
No.
Oh.
Littlefinger is the guy that owns the brothel in
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. The guy that narrated War and Peace, the version that I listened to.
Okay, keep going.
Anyways, yeah, those were the two things that bothered me, but apart from that, I liked it a lot. And I'm kind of scared to start Rings of Power now
Yeah.
because I know it's not going to be as good.
Well, it's just such a bummer that they keep coming out at the same time. Because.
Yeah, they both have huge budgets. That's so like I get that they want to do as good of a job as they possibly can, so they need to take their time. But I guess we're waiting another 2 years.
Oh, yeah, it was 2 years.
Yeah, I'm waiting another 2 years.
Well, I wonder if it'll be sooner because maybe they had to see how well it did before, like, season one. See how well season one did before they
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
could greenlight season two.
Maybe they're filming it all at the same time. But we can only hope.
Yeah. Okay, what would you rate it?
I'll give this a solid 8.5. 8.5 big Mongo dragons out of 10.
Nice. I'm also gonna rate this an 8.5. An 8.5. Spooky little dream trees.
That's very spooky.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go first or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Oh, sure. Okay, you can go first.
So I read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn and Micah. This is the first good book I've read all year.
That's so sad.
Well, that's not true. I've read some good books, but this is my favorite book I've read all year.
Well, I just mean that it's September, and I'm not sad that this is the first. It's a good book, but not that I finished it. But
Yeah, because everything else. Oh, you know what? I did enjoy the Roman Empire lecture book thing. That was good. Everything else has just been, all right. But yeah, this was really good. So I guess we got to address the fact that Huck Finn has been banned from so many schools.
what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's stupid. I think it's really stupid.
Do they still have people? Do they still have kids watch Roots? Did you watch that
No,
in
I
middle
never.
school?
Maybe like one episode, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if it was on its way out.
Yeah. Anyway, the reason that they ban it is because of its use of the N word, which it does use a lot.
Which is not a good word to use, but also
Right.
I'm not. It's just.
It would be out of place to not use it in the book setting and
My
time.
thought on it is. Are we just supposed to pretend like it never existed? Because that's not okay, in my opinion, because African American slaves were treated so horribly. And like that time period, like they were treated so horribly, and their stories deserve to be told correctly.
The book takes place like a couple of decades before the Civil War. So,
but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
I hope that's not taken out of context.
It's authentic. It's authentic to the time. That's how these people would have spoken to black people and about black people. That's the word they would have used to describe black people. That's how it was, you know? And if you read this book, whose main character is Huck, and you think, wow, Huck is a racist, I don't know what book you're reading. He's not.
Yeah.
And that leads into one thing I really liked about it. Actually, the main thing I really liked about it. Well, I'll talk about the other stuff I liked real quick. It's like Mark Twain is kind of a funny writer.
Wait, did you listen to the audiobook? Or
Yeah,
did you...
sorry, I listened to it.
Okay.
Because I've also heard that this can be a rough one to read because of the...
I started reading it and it was really hard. Like, you almost have to read this out loud.
Yeah, because...
To yourself.
Yeah, because whenever Jim talks, who's the runaway slave, he talks in like a very, I guess, stereotypical...
Everything's very shortened, and it...
And he's, you know, he doesn't spell the words right.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't know how to pronounce them right. He's not speaking King's English. He's speaking, you know, Southern...
Slang.
Yeah, like
dialect
what the slaves supposedly speak to each other, basically, how they speak to each other. That's how he's speaking, and it's like hard to read and understand. But if you listen to it, it's perfectly understandable.
Yeah.
Unless you're not a native English speaker, and then it might be hard. But I digress. But Mark Twain, just like, they have adventures together, and they have like a really fun friendship, and their banter is fun and funny with each other as they go down the river. But what I really loved about this book is Huck at the beginning has been adopted by this woman, and she's trying to teach him, you know, the right way to live, and she's sending him to Sunday school
to be proper.
Yeah, teaching him to be proper, teaching him manners, teaching him, you know, the Bible. And there's a part where she's teaching him about heaven, and he's like, well, I didn't think that heaven sounded so good. It didn't sound so fun to just sit up there and wear a robe and play the harp all day. So I asked her what hell was like. And then she tells him about hell, right? And obviously, being a Christian, she's like, you don't want to go to hell. That's a bad place. And he's like, and so I asked her if Tom Sawyer would be in heaven. And she said, no, not by a long shot. So I decided right then and there, well, if Tom Sawyer's not going to be in heaven, I'd rather just as soon go to hell. And this is just who Huck is. Like, he feels rebellious towards the norms of his society. He doesn't like, you know, behaving polite, keeping his elbows off the table. He doesn't like not cussing. He doesn't like going to
school wearing shoes and
Sunday school. He likes roughing it, and he thinks of himself as sort of a bad kid. He's like, well, maybe I am rotten, and maybe that's just how I am, and that's just what it is. And, you know, sometimes...
He's very self-aware of himself.
And sometimes you're like, yeah, you know what? Huck is kind of just a ruffian. He wants to be in a gang with Tom Sawyer, and they're making all these plans about how they're going to rob and murder people. And
and he's like, what, 10, 12?
But it makes sense, though, because like Huck is extremely good at lying and tricking his way out of situations. And you're like, you know, you're hearing all this, and you're like, oh, he's a kind of a dishonest ruffian kid.
So you maybe meet his dad, don't you? And you kind of understand.
And his dad is an abusive guy.
Yeah. Very mean, but you know, this is the way that Huck has had to live to survive.
But this is what I love about it, okay? At a certain point, Huck realizes that he has helped Jim run away from slavery. And he's out there on the river.
Because who is Jim working for?
The woman that is raising Huck.
Oh, okay.
So he realizes he's helping a runaway slave, which, according to his, you know, the culture that he grew up in, is a sinful, awful, bad thing to do. And he's like talking to himself, and he's like, I think the widow is how he refers to this woman. He's like, and I just felt rotten inside. I helped steal away the widow's property, who never done nothing to me, and I felt so awful I could die, or whatever. And so he's like struggling with this other aspect of Southern morality, which is slaves are property,
Mm-hmm.
and it's wrong to help a slave escape because you're taking away someone's property. And when I got to that point in the book, I was like, that's a really clever way of making the reader question their own ethical values. Because, like, part of the ethical values of the South is you want to live righteously, you want to go to heaven, you want to,
Be a good
be
Christian
good.
person.
Yeah, be kind, be good. But also, part of the Southern morality was slave owners. Black people are less than white. They are property. And that, like, you're like, oh, well, that's wrong. So what else about my belief system is wrong? And it's like a really awesome way of having a character like question their morality, question the morality of the society that they're in. And it made me think about like the values that I was raised in and like the values of this society. And I'm like, okay, what in 30 years is going to be ridiculous, that we believed in, that the Southerners believed in back then.
Yeah.
Because he's having an actual guilt trip over having helped a slave run away. And we read it and we're like, oh no, that's really brave of him. But he just thinks that he's a rotten boy, so that's why he did it.
It's just a rotten boy.
Yeah. Isn't that like
Yeah.
interesting to think about?
Well, and it's really interesting that it made you think about your own life.
Yeah.
Like that. Because this is a kid's book, basically. A YA book, I would say, right? No? It's not very long. And
no, it's not long. No.
At least the book we have, it looks like it's a kid's book. Not like a picture book, but like a YA book or something. So it's just...
Yeah. I was just really impressed about how gently it led me along to that place where I was like, dang, this is like interesting to think about. These values made him feel guilty. What values in my life have made me feel guilty that I should not feel guilty about?
Yeah.
That's
really interesting.
So I started loving the book at that point. And then there's a certain point where he's writing a letter to the widow, and he's gonna confess all because he just can't take it no more. And then he's like, and then I felt better about myself, so I was able to tuck it under my pillow and go to sleep. But then eventually he's reading the letter and he's like, well, I guess I'll just go to hell then. And he like rips it up.
Oh.
And it's such a good moment. The one nitpick I have is I don't love the way that this book ends.
What are you gonna say?
Maybe I'll rate it first. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. A 9 mean jokes to a raft mate out of 10. The way that it ends is he runs into Tom Sawyer. Tom Sawyer is visiting his aunt, and Jim has been caught and is being held.
Because he faked his own death. Also.
Huck did.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you... Wait,
yeah, Huck faked his own death.
So now he's been caught?
Jim has been caught.
Jim
has been caught, and
Jim.
and he's in like the guest. It's almost like a little guest prison of Tom Sawyer's aunt.
Okay.
And Huck and Tom are, Huck is pretending to be Tom. Tom is pretending to be someone else because Tom just loves it for the adventure. And they're gonna. Huck's plan is to break Jim out, and they want to break Jim out so that they can go out on the river. And Tom is helping him. But Tom is like making it way too elaborate on purpose because he wants an adventure out of it. Anyways, you find out that the widow died, and the last thing she did before she died was she freed Jim. So Jim is actually a free man.
But they don't know it yet. The boys.
They don't know it yet, and that's why Tom was willing to help Huck break Jim out, because he knew that they wouldn't get in trouble in the end because Jim is free.
Tom already knew.
Yeah. Tom is just doing this for the adventure.
Oh, man.
But I didn't like that because it sort of sucks all the impact out of what Huck and Jim were doing. Do
you know the whole time that Tom already knew?
No. This is what you find out at the very end.
Oh, I think that's fine. Because Tom is just a naughty little boy.
Yeah, but
who
like,
likes to play pranks and is playing a prank on them, but also like having an adventure about it. I think that's fine.
no, I just don't like how it took the impact and the stakes out of what Huck was doing for Jim.
Hmm.
He's helping him escape to the north. That's what he's trying
But
to
he
do.
doesn't know
What do you mean?
that he's free, right?
No, Huck doesn't know. So yeah, Huck's intentions were good, but like, I just wish it would have ended with them breaking him out and then them
Hmm.
escaping. I don't know. I would have liked that better, I think.
Okay.
But that's it.
Okay. I watched the reality TV show Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And essentially, this is about a group of women influencers in Utah who have kids who have beef with each other, basically. So there's 8 girls, I think, 8 women in the show. And the show starts off real fast. There's one woman who's kind of like, she brought all these women together, and her name is Taylor Frankie Paul. There was a huge swinger scandal a couple of years ago in
Mm-hmm.
Utah, and she was a part of it. And she was really the only one that said, "Yes, I was a part of this. Um, I don't deserve all the blame. Other couples were a part of this, but I'll own up and like say that I was a part of it. I'll take accountability. It was not a good situation. It ended my marriage. It caused a lot of drama. I'm no longer friends with any of these people." And nobody else said, "Oh yeah, I was a part of that. Oh yeah, I used to be friends with whoever." And like, so all they did was blame it on Taylor, which is not very cool in my opinion. I understand not wanting to take accountability, but why do you have to be such a hater to her? In my opinion, she took accountability when the rest of you were too scared to do it.
Mm.
At the beginning of the show, Taylor um, is divorced. She is incredibly depressed. You can just kind of tell, and I think she even talks about it. She does not have good coping skills. She's trying to run away from her problems. She's drinking a lot. She's just not putting herself in good situations. So the show starts off, she gets arrested for having a huge fight with her boyfriend. She ends up getting arrested for domestic abuse. And all the charges got bumped down, and I think she just has like 3 years of probation and all of that. And so the show, they weren't sure if it was going to happen because she got arrested and Hulu didn't really want to work with her. Long story short, it did happen. All the women are still a part of it. And Taylor is like the biggest part of this show, and I can't imagine what it would have been like if she hadn't been a part of it. Um, I will say it's really dumb that this show is, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, because they like don't talk about the church. Half of these women are
Yeah,
inactive.
it's not the same as being Jewish, but not
No, it's not the
going to
same thing.
synagogue. It's not a cultural thing.
No.
It's a religion, and if you're not practicing, then you aren't Mormon. That's it.
Right.
But I know why they're using that
Yeah, it's
word.
clickbaity.
Yeah.
But it's just annoying because even the girls that are technically active are not good representatives of the church, in
Yeah.
my opinion. And this, I'm going to be incredibly judgmental about this show, but that's because it's reality TV, and I'm going to be judgmental because whatever.
Everybody is that watches reality TV.
And
That's like the point. It's like, look at these freaks.
yeah. Okay, so this is what I said. It's so stupid because some of the group are active and the other half isn't. And there was a graduation party for one of the women's husbands, and they were at the husband's parents' house, who are active members of the church. And they have like the little party, and then the parents have a hot tub, so everybody goes out into the hot tub, and one of the inactive couples pulls out a flask, and they start passing it around and drinking. And all I could think was, how disrespectful is that? To be at somebody's parents' house hanging out.
And you know they're not cool with alcohol.
And you know they're not cool with that. I mean, they're not high schoolers where you're like, oh, you're just being a dumb teenager, you know?
Mm-hmm.
No.
They're adults.
They're in their late 20s. Some of them are in their early 30s. And I think the husband is like almost 50.
It's ironic because they complain all the time about how the church and the culture of the church pushed its beliefs on them. That's what they're doing by drinking in someone else's hot tub. That they know that family is.
Yes, and it's so disrespectful.
Yeah.
So then, right after that, the couple who her husband just graduated college, they have a baby blessing, which in the Mormon church is just like when you have a baby, you just give them like a blessing of life, basically, like have a good life, right? Yeah. And
yeah, it's like hags.
Was there any other way to say it?
That's what it is.
And all of the women were invited, but after the hot tub incident, all the inactive women got uninvited, and Jen, the one who's it happened at someone's house, so I wonder why. I don't know why it happened at someone's house.
Oh, the blessing did?
Yeah, actually, maybe it was for the show that they did it.
I didn't think you were allowed to do that. They filmed it.
They didn't put the blessing in.
Oh, okay.
I think they said it was interesting. They filmed a few different prayers.
Interesting.
Which I thought was interesting. And so there was a lot of drama about all the inactive women getting uninvited. But I just felt like you were disrespectful. You can't be trusted. This is at someone else's house. You know, it's not at church. And valid for you being uninvited.
Yeah.
You were acting like an asshole.
Yeah. And
so you got uninvited. And so that was so stupid because then they said, Jen, you just think you're better than all of us. And like, you're just, oh, I'm Jen and I'm going to talk about wearing my garments all day long. And that's all I can talk about in church and babies and whatever. But it's also like, that's a huge part of her life. And just shut up. Because I just feel like so many, whatever. Okay. The main villain of this show, her name is Whitney, and it's very obvious that like she feels no remorse for the way that she acted on this show. At the very beginning of the show, like I talked about the swinger situation, and Whitney was a part of that friend group. She's technically a part of the active member group. And so she was like, I'm not a swinger or whatever. She wasn't there for those parties, but because she was friends with Taylor, people thought that her and her husband were swingers. And so when all of that was happening, her and her husband moved to Hawaii for a few months, and they said, we're just trying to get away from all that drama. Like, we don't want to be a part of it, so we're going to move away for a few months. When she comes back, she says, that's not why we moved. We moved because my husband has a addiction. Are we allowed to say that word?
Prawn.
Oh, has a prawn addiction and was on Tinder, and I heard it was Grindr also.
Well, actually,
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I read
online. Yeah, I remember being in the room when that guy was talking.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Okay, so he was on dating apps to message women and like send private photos, share private photos with each other.
Okay.
And apparently,
and potentially was trying to have gex.
Yikes, Braden. And he's had this addiction, and all of this has been going on their whole marriage, which, as far as I can tell, has been at least 4 years. They've been married at least 4 years.
And she's known about it?
She only just found out about it, and that's why they moved to Hawaii to deal with it. And, like, she put all the blame on Taylor.
Why does Hawaii help?
I don't know.
It just changes scenery, I guess.
Yeah, and separation from everybody that they know and everything.
Sounds like an expensive destination to go. Like, why wouldn't you just... Because they lived in Utah, right?
Yeah.
Just off to Denver.
Nice, Braden.
You know what I mean? That's different enough.
Yeah, I don't know. So, all the girls are together as Whitney's telling them this. And, people are like asking her questions and like very engaged, and like we don't know how long the conversation actually went on. And to me, it felt like the conversation had run its course, and then Taylor goes, "Well, I have to share something with all of you guys. I have to take a pregnancy test tonight to find out if I'm pregnant." And Whitney got pissed that the attention was not just all on her for the whole hangout, and was like, "Taylor, you're so rude, and you just want everything to be about her," which in my opinion, I felt like it was fine. It felt like the conversation had run its course, and it was time to move on.
She's just like, well, now that we're sharing, I'm taking a pregnancy test.
But it's like, why would you want to keep talking about your husband's prawn addiction?
And then someone else is like, well, now that we're sharing, I killed a man.
And Whitney's upset that everybody's sharing.
Yeah.
So dumb. Because there's another moment where one of the women...
yeah, they're all narcissists.
For sure. But Whitney is the worst.
Okay.
Because this very private, intimate moment between one of the couples, this... what are we allowed to say? Sex?
Lesbian Lex?
No, it wasn't. No. It
was... so... Dang, you can't swap the words when you say straight.
Yeah.
Dang it.
So pretty much this intimate moment between one of...
hetero.
Whatever. Okay.
Hetero hex.
Okay. This, story of an intimate moment between a husband and wife gets talked about with some of the girls. And Whitney goes and tells the rest of the women. And there's a Valentine's Day party where all the women are hanging out at this party. And Whitney brings... The story had to do with... what is it? Fruity Pebbles? The cereal?
I don't know. Yeah, that is a cereal.
Yeah, I think it's that. So Fruity Pebbles. And so Whitney brings a box of Fruity Pebbles.
Okay.
And it's either Demi or Jessie opens it. I can't remember which one it is because they look alike. Opens it and she's like, why would you tell people this story and why would you do this? That's just rude. Because it was private or whatever. Which, like, sure, Whitney should not be telling people this, but also if it's that private, you shouldn't be talking about it, right? Whoever, Demi or Jessie, Whitney flips it and is like, I'm upset at you that you're upset at me for sharing this, and it's so wrong of you to be upset at me. Just a narcissist, psycho, and that's just how she does everything. Because it's like, Whitney does something shitty, and then people are like, I don't like that you did that. And Whitney goes, well, now I'm mad at you.
Oh, she's going to be such a joy for her kids.
Yeah. So horrible. I will say, I was talking to Braden about this, because, like, the whole time I was watching this show, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. But, like, for reality TV, if you can get past, like, the first 2 episodes, because it's very pick-me in the beginning, like, the women are kind of annoying, but it kind of, like, what they're talking about and stuff in it is so good. Like, if you can get past the first episode and a half, maybe, it's so good. It's like...
It's juicy goss.
Yes. It's reality TV gold.
Lady Whispers TMZ King's Landing edition would be frothing at the mouth.
It's just... something I thought was crazy. A lot of these women have seen each other's nudes.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
And one of them gets a labiaplasty, which is a surgery down there to make it look a little younger, basically.
Okay. This is too much for me.
Right, but listen.
Alright, I'm heading out.
After surgery, she, like, pulls down her pants and shows all the women. And all of them are like, oh, look at that.
I don't understand this. That's weird. That's not normal, right?
No.
Women don't do that, right?
Not that I am aware of. Like, that's not the friends I'm friends with.
Like if I was in a group, if I was hanging out with a group of guys and someone just dropped their drawers and said, "Check it out, guys," I'd be like, "What the is going on?" And, like, if everybody was into it, I'm like, okay, I'd have to go.
Yeah.
See you guys. This is weird.
Isn't that... Yeah.
That's weird.
Yes.
Okay, whatever.
Just about, like, the filming. As the season went on, I felt like the filming got worse. It was very shaky. Things were not in focus a lot of times when they, like, had a shot, and like it was way overexposed.
No, Micah, it's deep. It's meant to represent the deterioration of their minds.
So like I have
So tell me what
beef.
you think about it, but like it's gonna be wrong. So I'll tell you the right thing after you.
Um, I will say just to end, Taylor Frankie Paul, she's been she's gone through a lot of shit recently in the last few years because of the swinging. She still gets a ton of hate because of that, which like
Self-inflicted.
sure, but she's the only one that has taken accountability, and everyone just dumps on
But
her.
didn't she start it?
The swinging,
Yeah.
it's a bit messy. I mean, the
But
Vile Files talks about it. They had an interview with her recently that was really good.
but she also posted throughout the entire thing and did that little dance about getting half custody of her
Yeah.
kids right after that happened.
I
So
think she has a lot of trauma that she has not had enough time to deal with, and this show makes it very apparent. And I'm sad for her.
yeah, it's sad, but like
I'm sad for her because it feels like people are pushing her to do things that she doesn't want to do. Her boyfriend is like, well, they're incredibly toxic. They fight the whole time. They're like, whoa, we're just going to stay together because we love each other. We're going to stay together because we had a pregnancy scare and I had a miscarriage and then I had another miscarriage and now I'm actually pregnant. So we're going to stay together. But we fight constantly about the stupidest things. And he wants to get married and I'm not ready to get married. And so we fight about that.
mm-hmm.
Which is like so sad to me. And she's only staying with him, in my opinion, because they're having a baby together. And I just don't think that there's a lot of trust in that relationship, her and her boyfriend. And I just wish she would have taken the time to work on herself before jumping into another relationship.
Or jumping into a reality show.
Yeah. Because
I just think
she's hurting and she's really sad. What do you think?
it seems like she also can't live without the attention, though. To me,
Maybe.
I
just feel so much.
I think she's just as narcissistic as every other
I
girl
don't
in
think
that
so.
group. If she wasn't, then why would she want to parade her trauma around on a TV show?
I don't know. I just feel very sad for her. And I have a lot more empathy for her after this show. I just feel like she's in an incredibly toxic relationship and she doesn't feel like she can leave. Which is sad.
Because she had a kid.
Yeah, and even before. I don't know. Why did they... Because they're both toxic. Because I think he's just a toxic person and I think she hasn't had enough time to work on herself after everything. So, I'm going to rate this show a 9 out of 10. And I am not rating it a 10 out of 10 because they really over exaggerate some of the stereotypes of Mormons, like the soda and like the.
Oh, they're saying you can't drink soda.
No, that's all they drink is soda because you don't drink coffee.
Oh, gotcha.
And I can't remember some of the other ones, but it was really just like a lot of like the stereotypes of Mormons was kind of annoying because if you're aware of some of that at all, you know that it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of reality TV, it was great. I hope that they make a second season. So I'm gonna rate it a 9 Chippendales out of 10.
Nice.
Okay, do you have anything coming up?
Micah released a special video, her first one.
Yeah.
So go watch it. It's about Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah, be kind, please.
That's on YouTube. Micah did a good job on her first one. And she's gonna... first of many. Right?
Oh.
Right, Micah?
I thought I was a one-hit wonder.
No.
I have 3 views.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't... Yeah. So go get it. Go give it some more views, everyone. More views, please.
Yeah.
Coming up, it's spooky season, the season of the witch. The scary leaves begin to fall. The wind whooshes. The scariest thing about falcons is their wings go whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And they fly really high in the sky, and they fly and they look for rodents to steal and catch. But it's spooky season, so we're going to start our... if I leave that in, people will think I just had a stroke.
Fair, though.
So we're going to start our spooky movie time.
Coming up.
Yeah. We're not going to do anything, like, too horror-y.
No.
Because that's just not what we like to watch, typically. But, yeah. Stay tuned.
Okay, have a great week, everybody. Bye!